your English podcast.
Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome back to your English podcast. We are so energized to be with you today.
It's really great to be back.
We're about to jump into something that I think might honestly change the way you think about learning English. For anyone new here, or for our regulars, my name is Alex.
And my name is Nina.
Okay, so I want to start with a little scenario, a situation that I'm willing to bet maybe 90% of you listening feel deep in your bones.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
You've been studying, right? You're doing the work. You've got the books. You listen to us. You're doing grammar exercises until you're seeing double.
Yep, the diligent student.
The diligent student. But you feel completely stuck. You've hit a plateau, a wall, whatever you want to call it. And that feeling of being stuck comes from one very specific and very stubborn belief.
It's got to be the partner myth.
The partner myth, exactly that. It's that little voice in your head, the one that whispers, I can't get any better at speaking because I have nobody to talk to.
It's the number one excuse, isn't it?
It's the classic, I don't have a teacher, or I don't have a native speaker friend to practice with. Or the big one, I live in a country where nobody speaks English, so what can I do?
And because of that logic, that faulty premise, people just stop. They give up on the idea of fluency because they think it's a team sport and they feel like they're the only one on the field.
Which is just, it's a tragedy, really.
Yeah.
Because that belief, that whole idea is just fundamentally wrong.
It's completely wrong. It's maybe the biggest barrier I see with learners. People treat language learning like it's a game of tennis. You feel like you can't possibly play by yourself.
Right? You need someone on the other side of the net.
But language isn't tennis. It's so much more like, say, learning the piano. I mean, sure, your ultimate goal might be to play in a band or a big orchestra.
Performance.
The performance. But the real work, the hours and hours of practicing scales, building finger dexterity, developing that muscle memory, that all happens when you are completely alone in a room with the instrument.
That is a really powerful analogy. So you're saying if you only practice when you're with other people, you probably won't get very far.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's a bold claim, I know, but it's true.
Well, it flies in the face of conventional wisdom, which says conversation is the only way to learn. So today, our mission for this deep dive is to completely dismantle that excuse.
Tear it down brick by brick.
We are going deep on a concept we're calling solitary practice. And we're not just talking about, mutter to yourself in the shower. We are going to give you specific, actionable techniques to build fluency, confidence, and pronunciation.
All without ever having to schedule a call or meet up with another person. We're going to talk about something I call the tape recorder truth, which is a tough one for people.
Ooh, that sounds ominous.
And we'll unpack the difference between echoing and shadowing, two super powerful techniques that almost everyone confuses.
And you mentioned earlier that silent reading can actually be a trap.
A huge trap. It creates what I call false fluency. We'll definitely get into that.
Okay, but before we get into the how, the specific exercises, let's just land on the why for a minute. Because if you're listening, don't buy into the core philosophy. You're not going to do the drills. So why is practicing alone actually better for improvement than being in a live conversation? That sounds so counterintuitive.
It does, because conversation is the end goal, right?
Right.
But think about the main emotion you feel when you're in a real conversation, especially with a native speaker and you're not quite fluent yet. What's going through your head? Is it a feeling of calm, relaxed exploration?
God, no, it's panic. It's pure, unadulterated panic. It's survival mode.
Survival mode, exactly. It's a high-stakes performance. Your cortisol, your stress hormone is spiking. Your brain is dedicating almost all of its resources to social survival.
What do you mean by social survival?
Well, you're trying to read the other person's face. Are they bored? Are they getting impatient? You're trying not to look stupid. You're nodding at the right time to show you understand, even when you've totally lost the thread.
Oh, I've done that a million times. The nod and smile while your brain is just screaming.
We all have. And in that state, you have zero mental bandwidth left to actually analyze your own grammar or experiment with a tricky vowel sound. You're just trying not to drown.
So if we use the swimming analogy, a real conversation is like the Olympic race. You don't learn how to swim during the Olympics.
You've nailed it. Precisely. Solitary practice is the training pool. It creates a zero-risk environment. When you are totally alone, there's nobody there to judge you.
Right.
Nobody's going to laugh if you mispronounce a word 50 times. Nobody is tapping their foot waiting for you to finish your sentence. All of that social pressure just evaporate.
And that frees up your brain's processing power.
It frees up everything. You can focus 100% on the pure mechanics of the language. It's the rehearsal before the big performance.
I love that distinction. It's the rehearsal. You know, you wouldn't expect an actor to walk onto a Broadway stage on opening night without having rehearsed their lines alone in their apartment for hundreds of hours.
Of course not. It would be insane.
So why on earth do we expect ourselves to be able to perform fluent English in public without ever practicing the physical act of speaking by ourselves?
That is the key question, isn't it?
Okay, I'm sold on the philosophy. Let's get into the practical stuff. We have to start with the most obvious technique, but it's also the one that I think makes people feel the most, well, self-conscious.
The fine art of self-talk.
Right. And I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. Look, if my neighbors see me walking around my kitchen muttering to myself, they're going to think I've finally lost my marbles. There's a real stigma there. It feels crazy.
I get it. It feels crazy if you think of it as, talking to yourself. But let's reframe it. You're not talking to yourself. You are narrating your life.
Narrating your life.
Think of yourself as the voiceover artist in a documentary, and the documentary is about you. And if you think about it, biologically, this is actually how we first learned to speak. Have you ever just sat and watched a toddler play?
Oh, sure. They never shut up. They're narrating everything they do. The blue car goes here. Room.
Yeah.
Oh no, crash. The wheel fell off.
Exactly. They are vocalizing their stream of consciousness. It is a critical, absolutely essential developmental stage. As we get older, we learn to internalize that voice. We start thinking silently.
So learning a new language as an adult means we have to reverse that process.
You have to reverse engineer it. You have to consciously externalize that inner monologue again. You're trying to reconnect the thought in your brain to the muscles in your mouth.
So you're literally forcing your brain to pave a new highway between the idea and the physical act of speaking.
A highway is the perfect word for it. It bridges the gap. The biggest problem for most learners is what we call latency, that delay, that pause between thinking of the right word and actually managing to say it.
The buffer?
Yes, that buffering wheel in your head. The only way to reduce that latency is to travel that neural highway thousands and thousands of times. Self-talk is how you do that.
Okay, so how do we do this in a structured way? Because I imagine if I just stand in my room and say, table, chair, window, lamp, That's not really helping me speak, is it?
No, that's just labeling. Labeling is for absolute beginners. We want to move past that into what I call live commentary.
Live commentary.
The concept is incredibly simple, but it is surprisingly difficult in practice. You describe out loud exactly what you are doing in the present moment using full sentences.
So like a sports announcer,
Yeah.
Alex is now approaching the coffee machine. He's looking for the mugs. A tense moment.
Exactly like that. Maybe a little less dramatic, but yes. It's all about the mundane, everyday actions. So let's say you're in the kitchen. You don't just think tea. You say out loud, okay, I am making a cup of tea.
I am picking up the kettle.
I am filling it with water. Now I am waiting for the water to boil. Simple sentences.
Now I am checking my emails on my phone while I wait.
Now I am looking for my keys. Where did I put my keys? It sounds so simple, almost silly. But let me ask you, if you had to do that for 5 minutes straight right now, narrating everything, do you think you could do it without pausing? Without hesitating?
No way. Not a chance. I'd probably get stuck on very specific verbs. Like, what's the verb for, when you're trying to get the last bit of ketchup out of the bottle?
Yeah.
Shaking it, hitting it.
Tapping it, banging it. And that hesitation right there, that is the magic moment. That's a gap in your active vocabulary.
Adapt.
Yes. You've identified a word that you probably know passively. You'd recognize it if you read it, but you don't own it. You can't retrieve it instantly when you need it.
And crucially, because you're alone, you can actually stop and fix that gap.
Yes, that's the key.
Wow.
In a real conversation, if you didn't know the word for tapping the bottle, you just, I don't know, say getting the ketchup and move on because you don't want to kill the flow of the conversation.
You don't want to be the person who stops everything to look up a word.
Right. But when you're alone, you can stop, you can pull out your phone, look it up. The word is tap or smack. Then you do the reps. You say the sentence out loud 5 times. I am tapping the bottom of the ketchup bottle. I am tapping the bottle.
They're drilling it into your muscle memory.
You're doing the reps. You cannot do that on a first date. Excuse me. Hold that thought. I just need to practice this verb 5 times.
Yeah, you would get single very, very quickly. Okay, so that's live commentary. It's very present moment focused.
Yeah.
But life is more complex than just physical actions, right? We have to explain ideas, tell stories, make arguments.
Absolutely. And for that, we can graduate to the next level, the imaginary friend technique.
Okay, now you're really pushing us back into this feels crazy territory, talking to imaginary people.
Just bear with me on this. This is all about visualization. So let's say you just finished reading a really interesting news article, or you watched a great movie, or you learned a new complex concept at work.
Yeah.
Now, imagine a specific person, a friend, a family member, is sitting right there in the chair opposite you. How would you explain that article or that movie to them?
So it's not just a vague audience. I'm picturing a specific person. Like I could be picturing you sitting there.
Yes, picture me.
Yeah.
Or your best friend. Or your mom. Now explain the plot of the movie you watched last night to me, out loud. The act of explaining to a specific person forces you to structure your thoughts logically.
I see. Because you have to anticipate their questions.
You do. And it forces you to use all the little social conversational bits, the connectors, things like, and the craziest part was, or, you know what I mean? Or, but here's the thing.
It makes you manage the whole flow of a monologue, not just spit out facts.
Exactly. You get to practice your storytelling chops without the real-world anxiety of actually boring the other person to death. You can pause, you can backtrack, you can take as long as you need to find the perfect word.
I have to admit, I sometimes do this in the car. I pretend I'm being interviewed for a podcast or a talk show about something I know about.
The car is the absolute best place for this. It's a private, soundproof booth on wheels.
And no one looks at you funny.
Nope. If other drivers see you talking, they just assume you're on a hands-free call. You don't look crazy, you look important and busy.
That's a pro tip right there. The car is your personal speaking studio. Okay, I want to try something here. I want to make this a bit interactive for everyone listening.
Oh, I love this.
So if you are listening to this right now and you're not, performing surgery or driving in a blizzard, I want you to just pause for a second, mentally or even physically hit the pause button.
Go on, do it.
Look around you, and for just 60 seconds, try to narrate your current environment or what you're doing. I am walking my dog in the park. I am sitting at my desk and the sun is shining through the window. I am chopping onions for dinner. Just try it.
The first 10 seconds will feel incredibly awkward. You'll hear your own voice in the silence and it will sound strange. Just push through that feeling. It's surprisingly empowering.
Absolutely. Okay, let's build on that. The next logical step. We've talked about narrating the present moment, but a huge part of actual conversation, maybe the biggest part, is telling stories about the past.
The classic questions, right? How was your weekend? What did you get up to yesterday?
Exactly. So this is where we need to transition from that live commentary.
This is where we introduce the audio diary or narrating your day.
And the key distinction here is that it's retrospective. It's about the past.
Correct. The live commentary is all about the present continuous tense. I am doing. The audio diary is all about the past tense. I did.
So what's the method?
It's super simple. At the end of your day, maybe while you're brushing your teeth or just lying in bed, or even the next morning while you're making coffee, you recount what you did the previous day. Out loud.
So something like, okay, yesterday I woke up at 7 a.m., then I made breakfast, and after that I went for a short walk.
Exactly that. But here's the challenge, the thing that makes it so effective. Don't settle for the easy summary. Don't just say, I went to work.
Because that's too simple.
It's too easy. It doesn't challenge you. We want the details. Describe your commute. Was there a lot of traffic? What song was on the radio? Describe the coffee you had. Was it good? Was it too hot? Did it rain? How did the rain make you feel?
So instead of I went to work, it becomes something like, well, yesterday morning I drove to work, but the traffic on the highway was an absolute nightmare, so I was 10 minutes late, which I think annoyed my boss a little bit.
Yes. Now look at the rich language you just used there. Drove, was a nightmare, was late, annoyed my boss. You're using past tense verbs, powerful adjectives, and you're connecting events with causal links like so and which.
I find that the simple past tense is one of the hardest things for learners to get right consistently in a fast, natural conversation. It's so easy to slip up in mixed tenses.
It is the single most common grammatical error I hear, even from very advanced learners. They'll get excited telling a story and suddenly everything slips back into the present tense. So yesterday I go to the store and I see my friend and she tell me.
It's like the brain defaults to the simplest form under pressure.
It does. And the only way to fix a default setting is through massive, consistent repetition. If you narrate your day every single day, you are forcing yourself to practice those irregular past tense verbs went, saw, bought, told hundreds of times every month.
Until I went becomes a reflex. It's just as automatic as I go.
It becomes a reflex. You don't have to consciously think, okay, what's the past tense of buy? Your brain just serves up bought automatically.
It also builds the habit of thinking about your own life, your own biography in English.
And that's key because it's personal. You're not practicing with boring sentences from a textbook like the cat sat on the mat. Who cares about the cat?
Right.
You're practicing sentences that are directly relevant to your life. My boss was annoyed. The coffee was delicious. These are things you might actually need to say to someone. That emotional connection makes the vocabulary and grammar stick so much better.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, let's move on. I want to talk about reading. Most of us who are learning a language, we do a lot of reading. We read news articles, books, social media posts. But you said before that reading silently can actually be a trap.
It is a massive trap. I call it false fluency.
False fluency. That sounds dangerous.
It is because it's so deceptive. Here's what happens. When you read a text silently, inside your head, your pronunciation is flawless.
Of course, yeah. In my mind, I sound like a BBC news anchor.
Exactly. You're eloquent, you're smooth, your intonation is perfect. You recognize all the words on the page, so your brain makes this huge leap of logic and assumes you can also say them perfectly.
And then the moment of truth comes, you open your mouth to say one of those words in a real conversation,
And it's a car crash. Your tongue feels like a clumsy piece of meat. It trips over itself. You stumble, you stutter, and you're left thinking, what happened? I knew that word.
Why does that happen?
Because recognizing a word visually uses a completely different set of neural pathways than producing that word mechanically. Your mouth, your tongue, your jaw, all those muscles have never actually done the work.
It's like watching a video of a great guitarist and thinking, yeah, I understand what his fingers are doing, so I can probably play that.
That is the perfect analogy. And then you pick up the guitar and your fingers just won't cooperate. Silent reading is watching the guitarist. Reading aloud is actually picking up the guitar and trying to play.
So the obvious solution is to start reading everything aloud. But I feel like there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. I've tried it before, and I just end up sounding like a robot. The cat sat on the mat. It doesn't help with my flow or rhythm at all.
That's a super common problem, and it's because you're focusing only on the individual words, not on the music of the language. So we need a proper strategy, a progression.
Okay.
First, you don't just pick up a giant novel and start shouting it at the wall. You'll get exhausted and discouraged.
Though that does sound like a good way to relieve some stress.
Maybe. But for our purposes, you want to select a short text. 1 or 2 paragraphs is perfect. An article, a blog post, a snippet from a book.
Okay, a short paragraph. What's step 1?
Step 1, read it through once, very slowly. The goal here is pure mechanics. Focus on making every single sound correctly. Are you pronouncing the th sound? Are you hitting the es at the end of the plural words? Don't worry about speed at all. This is the technical warm-up.
Got it. Slow and correct. Step 2.
Step 2, read the same paragraph again. This time, increase the speed to a more normal conversational pace. The focus now is on flow. Try to link the words together smoothly, the way a native speaker would. Don't leave big gaps between each word.
Finding the rhythm.
Exactly. And then step 3, which is my favorite part. This is where the magic happens. Read it a 3rd time, but this time your entire focus is on emotion and intonation. You need to act it out.
So become a performer.
Yes. Become an actor in your own room. If the text is a quote from an angry character, then say it with an angry voice. Growl it if you have to. If it's a sad news story, lower your voice, slow down your pace, sound somber.
If it's a question, really exaggerate that upward inflection at the end.
Exaggerate it, because why does this acting help? It's not just for fun. It's about practicing prosody.
Prosody? What's that?
Prosody is the music of a language. It's the rhythm, the stress, the pitch, the melody. English is a very musical, stress-timed language. We go up and down in pitch a lot.
And many learners speak in a very flat monotone, don't they?
They do, often because they're afraid of sounding silly or making a mistake. By acting and intentionally exaggerating the emotion, you force your voice to explore that full musical range. You find the melody of English.
You have to overshoot the mark to eventually land in the right place.
You've got it. And again, this is something you can only truly do when you're alone. If you sit in a public library and start dramatically performing a novel with angry and sad voices, you're going to get some very strange looks.
Laughs. Yeah. Yeah, you'll probably be asked to leave. And, a great tip here is to use transcripts or subtitles. If you have an audiobook or a YouTube video, you can read the text out loud first and then listen to how the native speaker delivered it.
That's a fantastic bridge to getting feedback, which we'll talk about next. But before we do, I just want to ask you listening, do you have a favorite English book or a blog you read often? I challenge you to try this today. Read just one paragraph of it out loud. Use the 3-step method. Just feel how different it is from reading it silently. It's a real physical workout for your mouth.
It really is. And on that note, if you're enjoying these kinds of practical deep dive tips and you want to keep getting this kind of content, please take a second to subscribe to our channel. It's a huge help to us, and make sure you won't miss any of our future deep dives.
We have so many more of these planned, so hitting that button is the best way to stay in the loop.
All right. We've been narrating our kitchens, we've been acting out paragraphs, but now it's time to go to the scary place, the part everyone avoids.
The tape recorder truth.
Groans. Ugh, I hate it. I hate the sound of my own recorded voice. I think literally everyone does. Even now, when I have to edit the audio for this show, I cringe. I think, do I really sound like that?
Of course you do. And it's a totally natural reaction. There's actually a biological reason for it. And if we understand the biology, we can get over the embarrassment.
Okay, explain.
When we speak, we hear our own voice primarily through what's called bone conduction. The vibrations from our vocal cords travel through the bones in our skull directly to our inner ear. This process enhances the lower frequencies. It makes our voice sound deeper, richer, more resonant to ourselves.
So in our own heads, we all sound like James Earl Jones.
We basically do. But a recording device captures your voice through air conduction, just like how other people hear you. It picks up more of the higher 10-ear frequencies that you normally don't hear yourself. So when you listen to a recording, your brain hears this thin, high-pitched voice and just screams, "That's not me, that's a stranger."
The cringe is a natural biological response, but you're saying we have to push past it.
We have to embrace it. Because the recorder is the only way to get truly objective feedback when you are studying alone. Without it, you are just guessing. You think you pronounced that word correctly, but you can't be sure. The recorder is the honest mirror. You can't fix your posture if you refuse to ever look in a mirror.
So what's the exercise? Because if I record myself talking for 5 minutes, I know for a fact I will never, ever listen back to it. The pain would be too great.
No, 5 minutes is way too long. That's torture. The key is to keep it micro. Record just one sentence, or even just a short phrase, maybe one of the sentences from the paragraph you just read aloud.
Okay, one sentence. I can handle that.
Record it on your phone's voice memo app. Then, and this is crucial, listen to it immediately. Don't wait.
And what am I listening for? Because my first instinct is just to have a gut reaction. Ugh, that was terrible, and then delete it forever.
Right. And you have to fight that instinct. You need to take off your judge hat and put on your scientist hat. You are not listening for good or bad. You are listening for data.
Analyze, don't criticize.
Exactly. Ask yourself specific analytical questions. Where did I pause? Was the rhythm smooth or was it choppy? Did my voice go up at the end of that question or did it stay flat? Did I pronounce the final T in that word or did I drop it?
So it's about targeted self-analysis.
Yes. And the best way to do this is to use the comparison method. Find a recording of a native speaker saying the same sentence or a similar one. Listen to them, then immediately listen to your recording and listen for the gap.
Spot the difference?
Spot the difference. You'll hear things like, oh, wow, the native speaker connected those two words together. They said sort of as one sound, sorta, but I pronounced them as two separate words. Sort of.
And that is a golden nugget of learning right there.
It's everything, because you will never forget that connection once you hear the difference with your own ears. The abstract grammar rule becomes a physical, audible reality. It's about closing the gap between what you think you sound like and what you actually sound like. That gap is where all the learning happens.
Okay, speaking of listening to native speakers and copying them, let's get into the real heavy lifting now. This is the advanced workout section. We always hear these two terms thrown around, echoing and shadowing. Are they the same thing?
They're not the same thing at all, and they actually train very different skills, but people confuse them constantly.
So let's define them very clearly for everyone listening. First up, what is the echo technique?
The echo technique is exactly what it sounds like. You listen to a short phrase or a sentence from a native speaker's audio, you press pause, and then you repeat it back, trying to imitate it exactly. The same words, the same tone, the same rhythm.
So the sequence is critical. Listen, pause, speak.
Yes, the pause is the key. This technique is fantastic for building accuracy. That pause gives your brain a crucial moment to process the sounds it just heard, plan the movements for your mouth, and then execute them carefully. It's excellent for drilling specific, difficult pronunciation points.
Okay, that's the echo. Simple, effective, focused on accuracy. What then is shadowing?
Shadowing is the next level up. It's the high-intensity interval training of language learning. It is intense. With shadowing, you listen to the audio and you try to speak along with the speaker simultaneously. You do not pause the audio.
So it's like singing along to a song on the radio.
That is the best possible analogy for it. You know how when you're singing along to your favorite song, you're not consciously thinking about every single lyric. You're not translating the meaning in your head. You're just riding the wave of the rhythm and the melody.
Total.
That's shadowing. You are trying to match the speaker's speed, their rhythm, their intonation, their pauses, all in real time with maybe a half-second delay.
That sounds incredibly difficult. My brain hurts just thinking about it.
It is hard. I am not going to lie. The first time you try it, it will feel like a chaotic mess. You'll miss words. You'll stumble. Your brain will struggle.
Why do it? Why put ourselves through that kind of cognitive pain?
Because of its number one incredible benefit. It forces you to stop translating in your head. When you are shadowing, You simply do not have the time to hear the English word, translate it into your native language, understand the meaning, think of a response, and translate it back. That whole process is too slow. You have to move at the speed of the native speaker.
It's like it hot wires your brain, bypassing the translation center.
It completely short circuits it. It forces your brain to start processing English in English. It builds that pure muscle memory of what it feels like for your mouth to move at a native pace with a native flow.
So with shadowing, material selection must be absolutely critical.
Oh, absolutely. Do not start with a fast-talking comedian or a rap song. You will get frustrated in 10 seconds and quit forever.
Right.
Start with something slower and clearer. A podcast designed for learners is perfect. Or maybe an audiobook for children. Something with clear articulation. And just try shadowing for 30 seconds, then a minute. That's it.
I can imagine that just 5 minutes of concentrated shadowing would feel like a more intense workout than an hour of just listening.
It is exhausting, mentally and physically. Your jaw will get tired. But 5 minutes of active shadowing is worth more than an hour of passive listening. It's a game changer for fluency.
Now, we live in the age of technology. We're not just limited to audio players and our own voices. How can we leverage technology, apps and things for this kind of solitary practice?
Oh, it's a golden age for the self-studier. It really is. There are apps now that are specifically designed to give you the kind of feedback that was impossible to get on your own just 10 years ago.
I know there are a bunch out there, but which ones do you see as being genuinely useful for this kind of focused speaking practice?
Well, tools like Elsa Speak and Speechling are two fantastic examples that come to mind. They're built around this idea.
And how do they work? What do they do that's different from me just recording my own voice?
They use AI, artificial intelligence, to give you instant, granular feedback on your pronunciation. So you'll read a sentence into the app, and the AI analyzes the actual sound wave you produced.
Wow.
Then it compares your sound wave to a model of a native speaker's sound wave. And it can give you a score and tell you, hey, your pronunciation of the sound in the word the was only 80% correct. Or your vowel sound in ship was a little too long. It sounded more like sheep.
That is incredible. It's like having a dedicated pronunciation coach in your pocket 24/7.
It is. And it's completely objective. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get frustrated. You can practice the same difficult word 100 times in a row, and the AI won't get annoyed with you, whereas a human teacher might, understandably, lose their patience.
Is there a downside, though? A danger in relying on these apps too much? I could see myself getting obsessed with trying to get a 100% score.
Yes, that is the trap. You don't want to gamify your learning to the point where you just sound like a perfect robot trying to please the machine. Language is ultimately about human connection. The AI is brilliant at checking your individual phones, but it can't check your emotion, your storytelling ability, or your sense of humor.
So what's the strategy for using them effectively?
Use them as a supplement, not a replacement. Think of the app as your pronunciation gym. You go there to do your drills, to lift the weights. Spend 5 or 10 minutes a day drilling those specific sounds that the AI tells you you're weak on. And then you leave the gym and you go play the actual game. You spend another 5 or 10 minutes doing the free form practice we talked about, narrating your day or talking to your imaginary friend, where you focus on flow and communication, not on perfect sounds.
So balance is key. Don't let the algorithm become your only teacher.
Precisely.
I'm actually really curious. For everyone listening, we'd love to know if you use any of these apps. Are you a fan of Elsa? Do you use something else we haven't mentioned? And if you're finding this whole discussion helpful, remember to subscribe to your English podcast to keep these deep dives coming.
Yes, please do. We learned so much from the community and your experiences, so it's great when you engage with us.
Okay, so we have this huge toolkit now. We've got self-talk, the audio diary, reading aloud, recording, shadowing, AI apps.
Yeah.
It's a massive arsenal, but none of it, absolutely none of it, works without the one magic ingredient.
Ah, yes. The magic ingredient, the one thing nobody ever wants to hear.
Consistency.
Consistency.
I feel like we end up saying this in almost every deep dive we do, but it's just the fundamental truth of learning anything difficult.
It's like the law of gravity for learning. You can't escape it. And when it comes to fluency, frequency beats duration every single time.
Let's really break that down.
Yeah.
Frequency versus duration.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of learners fall into the trap of thinking, okay, I'm busy during the week, so I'll just block out 3 hours on Sunday to do all my English practice.
And that is a huge mistake from a neurological standpoint. It is far, far better to practice for 15 minutes every single day than it is to cram a 2 or 3 hour session in once a week.
Why is that? I mean, isn't the total time spent the most important thing?
You'd think so, but no. Because fluency is not just intellectual knowledge. You're not just memorizing facts, like dates for a history exam. Fluency is a physical skill. It's a reflex. It's muscle memory in your brain and in your mouth.
I feel another gym analogy coming on.
Oh, that. It's my favorite because it just fits so perfectly. You can't get physically fit by going to the gym for one monster 5-hour session once a month. You'll just injure yourself, and for the next 3 weeks, your muscles will weaken again.
You get fit by going for 30 or 40 minutes several times a week. It's the regular stress and recovery that builds the muscle.
And your brain builds connections in exactly the same way. There's a process called synaptic pruning. Your brain is incredibly efficient. If you create a new neural pathway, like the one for a new verb, but then you don't use it for a week, the brain thinks, oh, I guess this wasn't important, and it starts to disconnect it. It prunes it away to save energy.
So if you wait a whole week between practice sessions, you spend the first half of your session just rebuilding the connections you lost.
You're just fighting to get back to where you were last week. It's one step forward, one step back. Daily practice keeps those pathways strong and clear.
Okay, so we have to overcome the excuses. The big one is always, I don't have time.
And we have to be honest with ourselves. I don't have time is not a valid excuse for 10 or 15 minutes. Everyone has 15 minutes. You have it on your commute. You have it while you're waiting for water to boil. You have it while you're walking the dog.
Yeah, and the other big excuse, I don't have a speaking partner, is now officially debunked. We've just spent this entire deep dive proving you don't need one to make incredible progress.
The excuses are gone.
Yeah.
So the only thing left is to actually do it. And my biggest tip here is schedule it. Don't leave it to chance. Don't just hope you'll find time. Put 15-minute English speaking in your calendar every day like it's a meeting.
Treat it like an appointment with your most important client yourself. You wouldn't cancel on them, so don't cancel on you.
Don't stand yourself up. Respect your own goals enough to show up for them.
I love that. All right, let's shift gears slightly as we head towards the end. We love to do a little vocabulary deep dive, but today I thought we could look at the language of learning itself. These are words that help us describe the very process we've been talking about.
Meta-vocabulary. Words about the process of learning words. I love it.
Let's start with a really powerful one, a word that acknowledges the difficulty. Struggle.
Struggle. It's a great one. It can be a verb or a noun, and it means to experience real difficulty but to continue fighting, to continue working.
It's so much more honest than just saying, I'm trying, isn't it?
Oh, much more. Trying can sound casual. I struggle with pronunciation. Acknowledges that it's a real fight. It honors the effort involved.
And when you struggle with something, what do you need to do? You need to stick with it.
Stick with it. A brilliant phrasal verb. It means to persevere, to show persistence, to not quit, even when it's hard.
You could say, this shadowing technique is so difficult, but I'm going to stick with it.
Yes, the image is almost like glue. You are stuck to the task. You refuse to let go, no matter how much you want to shake it off.
Okay, next word, pressure. We talked about this at the very beginning.
Pressure, that feeling of stress or urgency or necessity. We said that speaking alone relieves the pressure of a real conversation.
It's that invisible weight on your shoulders that can crush your ability to think clearly.
And removing that pressure is what allows the brain the freedom to actually experiment and learn.
Next up, patterns.
Patterns, a crucial word for language learning. A pattern is a repeated design or a standard way that things happen. When we learn grammar, we're not memorizing millions of individual rules. We're trying to spot the patterns.
Like the pattern for forming the past tense or the intonation pattern for questions.
Yes, our brains are pattern recognition machines. And solitary practice gives you the quiet, focused time you need to actually notice those patterns without the pressure of a live conversation.
And what's the big fear we're trying to overcome? The fear of being judged.
To be judged, to be evaluated or criticized, usually negatively. That single fear, the fear of being judged, is probably the biggest killer of language progress in the world.
It's completely paralyzing.
It is. And that's why your practice space needs to be a judgment-free zone, which by definition means being alone.
And one last phrase for us. Don't underestimate.
Ah, a great one. Don't underestimate. It means do not think that something is less important, less valuable, or less powerful than it really is.
A perfect example would be, don't underestimate the power of talking to yourself.
Exactly. We tend to dismiss it as silly or weird. We underestimate it. But as we've hopefully shown today, it's actually a language learning superpower.
Okay, challenge time. For you and for everyone listening, can you make one sentence that uses struggle and stick with it together?
Oh, putting me on the spot. Okay. Let's see. Even though I sometimes struggle to find the motivation, I'm going to stick with it because I really want to become fluent.
Perfect. Listener, your turn. Try to make your own sentence right now. Say it out loud. Combine struggle and stick with it.
Yes, say it. Don't just think it. That's the whole point of today.
We are coming to the end of our deep dive now.
Yeah.
We have covered a massive amount of ground.
We really have. I hope it's been useful.
If we had to boil this entire hour down, if you listening, forget everything else, what is the one single core message you want them to take away from this?
The core message is that fluency is a reflex. It needs to be automatic. And you can only achieve that automaticity through thousands of repetitions. You simply can't get enough repetitions in a weekly conversation class where you have to share the time. The solitary hours are where you build the reflex.
You build that natural flow in private so that you can use it effortlessly in public.
That's it. And the final thought I want to leave everyone with is this. Learn to embrace your mistakes. When you are practicing alone, mistakes are free. They have zero cost, no one hears them. They are not failures, they are data points, they are signposts showing you what to work on next.
The goal isn't to be perfect immediately. The goal is to get comfortable with the process. The goal is to build the habit.
Exactly. If you stumble over a word, if you stutter, if you use the wrong tense, who cares? Just keep talking. The only way to get better at talking is by talking.
Don't let the silence in the room stop you. Fill that silence with your own voice.
Beautifully put.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive and want more like it, please subscribe and join us for the next one. It truly helps us grow this community, and we love having you here.
We really do. Thank you for your time and your trust.
Thank you so much for listening to your English podcast today. Take one of these techniques, just one beller, and try it for 5 minutes. Narrate making your next cup of coffee. Record one sentence on your phone. See what happens.
See you next time.